Hey crafters, this is Nye here. So today what we are going to do is we are going to assemble our Sippin' Sunshine Coconut Drink Layered Paper Craft. As you can see, I've got all of my pieces here. I have them cut out. There were a lot of little pieces with this one. We didn't use a lot of different colors, but we were having a lot of pieces that were tiny and smaller that we had to cut out on that cardstock. And I have stacked them up here in my order for gluing. I'll be using my tweezers to help me. I also have my art glitter glue that I will be using to glue everything down. And I have my micro dots that I will be using to stack or glue down my bubble letters right here for the word Sippin'. Before I started the video, I went ahead and I glued down, or I used my micro dots and I put down all of my bubble letters. And all I have left to do is this N. So I'm going to pick it up, hold it with my fingers here, and I'm going to grab my micro dots. And so these ones are really, really tiny. And what I find is easy to do is I just use my tweezers and I kind of grab one to pick it up. I'm going to put my N right there, and I'm just going to add about 3, maybe 4 of my micro dots to this one here. And so I'm just using my finger on top to press it down once I have it there. And I'm going to do this one this way there. And I just find that my tweezers helps me to grab the dots and separate them from this grouping because they're all kind of like stacked together. And so my tweezers just helps make that process a little bit easier. Then I'm going to hold it down with my finger and just peel off that double layer that's on top that helps to keep the micro dots from sticking to the plastic container that it came in. And this can be a little tricky and cumbersome because it's so tiny and they don't always want to cooperate. All right, so I've got the one. I'm going to do the next one here. And so you can kind of see it's just a little bit tricky here and finicky. There we go. And then 2 more. I still have it on my finger there. And that one was easy, much easier. And then now this last one here. All right, there we go. I'm going to fix this one also because it kind of seems like it got a little jumbled there. Okay, so now I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to flip it over, make sure I've got the orientation going the way that I want. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place it down kind of right inside the bubble of the green there. You'll see that there's a little perfect spot for it. And all that's going to do is it's going to kind of give it a little bit of a shadow. So I've got a good bit of light here, so hopefully you can kind of see that there's a little bit of a shadow underneath, and it just makes it pop and give it a bit more of a 3D effect. All right, so let's move on to the next one. I'm going to push this out of the way just a little bit, and we're going to glue down the word sunshine. So I'm going to hold this one with my tweezers, and I want to make sure I've got my orientation correct. I'm going to hold it kind of right at that H there. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to the back here. And so this one I'm not going to use my micro dots with because it's really tiny, this lettering here. And so I'm just going to want to press all of this down so it stays to the paper. And I'm going to flip it over. And again, I'm just going to try and line it up inside of the bubble of the green. And then just lightly pressing it down and making sure it gets in that right position. Okay, that looks great. All right, so I'm going to bring this back over again one more time. I'm going to put this one there to the side. And the next piece I'm going to work with is the starfish. So because I have everything kind of stacked in the order for gluing, I'm going to work my way down for a little bit until I get to the bigger pieces, and then I'll flip things over and work my way from the bottom to the top. Only because these smaller pieces, I don't want them to get lost on my table once I get started gluing. Because I don't know about you guys, but I find that that always happens to me. Okay, And now for this piece here, it's a little bigger, so it's easier to work with. And so I'm gonna put my tweezers down because that's probably all I needed it for. But this seashell part is tiny and it's thinner. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start there first and just kind of make sure that I'm adding some glue to all of the little pieces here of the shell, this little outline here of the shell. And the reason why I did that was because I want to make sure that no piece of it comes up once I place it down. I'm going to move my finger too to get where I was holding. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold this in my hand. I'm going to grab this bottom piece that's next, holding this one in my hand. And then all I'm going to do is use my fingers here as my guide to make sure that I get everything lined up and to make sure that it all ends up in that perfect position. And you can see it right there. And that looks great. And now I'm going to do the next thing, and that's going to be gluing my wording down to this part as well. I'm going to go ahead and add the glue to the tan. I know that I don't need to add it to the seashell part because that's not showing here. So I'm just going to add it to this tan part. And then I'm going to hold my green piece here. And again, just use my fingers as my guide to make sure that I get it lined up in the right position. All right. And there we go. And so that looks great for this part, okay? So now what we're gonna do is I'm going to speed up the video as I glue this next section here, this last piece with all of these bigger pieces. When I go to glue down this part here of the umbrella, I'm gonna be really extra careful with gluing and taking my time so that way these pieces line up perfectly, all right? So here we go, I'm gonna speed things up. Okay, so when I'm doing this part here with the umbrella, you want to make sure that you're just taking your time and lining it up right on top of each other, whether it's the orange pieces and the green or the purple and the blue underneath. You just kind of want to slow down there just a little bit to make sure that you've got everything just right. Okay, so once you've got this main part of the design all glued together, then you're ready to come back to the beginning. And now what we're going to do is just add a little bit of glue to the back of this section here. And then we can glue this one down. And so this is just a fun little layered project for summer. If you want, you could add it to a card, like a 5x7 card or something. Like, I think it would fit really nicely on it. I'm not sure how big mine is here. But, well, yeah, it would definitely fit on a 5x7 card. Not a 4x6. Well, let's see. That would have to be the 6 side and definitely not a 4x6. 5x7 would work, okay? So I hope you guys really enjoy this one. I would love to see your color combinations. Be sure to send me a picture or come and post a picture on Facebook or something so I can see. And thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have fun crafting. Bye.